all the money in the world wouldn't change a thing. And I realized that after all the success we had, all he really wanted to do at the end of the day was to spend time together. And we went out on that first journey together, and I lost him 2 days later. And that was heart-wrenching, broke me. I wasn't ready for it.
No, you can't be ready for that.
No, you can't, because you're just thinking you're getting ready to go start your other life. Like, I thought we were moving in the third chapter. We were going to settle down. He certainly was. He was 18 years older. He wanted to, and he looked younger than me sometimes, but he wanted to go for it. He wanted to, he's like, go charter a yacht. Let's go sail around the Mediterranean. Let's go live our life. We've done all we can do. Amber will be okay, our daughter. She will have plenty of money to live. I want to make sure that the grandkids are taken care of. I want you and I to live this last quarter together. And sure enough, he was gone by the time he finished saying the sentence. And I thought, I'm not prepared for this, just like you weren't prepared to lose your dad. But nobody ever listens to that. Nobody ever wants to talk about death. That's why I couldn't wait to do your podcast, because nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about what we have to deal with. And it's not just now. It's not just a year ago or 2 years ago when it happened. It happens 2 years from now, or anytime a song comes on or a moment happens, or, butterfly may pass by and you think about something. It doesn't matter. It just changes all the time. Grief is a place that we have to live for the rest of our life. And you also go through all this pain. Like, could I have done anything different? Why didn't I see that he had a blood clot? Why didn't I notice this? Why didn't he notice this? For God's sakes, Jared was a marine biologist. He was practically a doctor in my eyes. Why didn't he see it? Amber was very much like him. How did we miss it? So you go through guilt, you go through anger, you go through pain, you suffer. And I don't think it ever really goes away. People are like, well, when does it get better? I don't know. And people are like, well, time heals all. Time doesn't heal shit. Time has no emotions. It does nothing except continue on without you. And it infuriates me when people say time heals all. Time's done nothing for me. Except I woke up and I realized, just like you did, that life goes on with or without you. Right? And so that's an eye opener. That's when you realize the value of time. And I think when I finally woke up, even though I was functioning, as you know, when you function in grief, it's like a cloud, right? It's like you're in a deep haze, a fog. And I was functioning, but I couldn't get clear of the cloud. And it finally took me some time to realize that I'm never going to be free of the cloud, that the pain will always be there and that cloud will always be there. And I will learn to see better through a cloud. And that's what I've gotten better at doing. My vision has improved. I've gotten better at seeing through a haze that will never go away. And I'm okay.
That's what it is, seeing through a haze. And I couldn't agree more about the time, because I've kind of modified that sentence in my own world. I said, time helps, but it's to me, it's what you do at that time. Because if you go 10 years down the road, sure, your memory might be doing a job on you. But at the same time, if you're not living life a certain way that's suitable to you and taking steps, because to me, I truly feel in life in general, outside of just grief, a lot of people may look at this happened to me. I personally don't feel that way. I don't feel like this happened to me. I just think this is life. And I think at some point, there is a level of accountability for how we respond to certain things. And it might come off as insensitive for a lot of people that I wouldn't say this to people in their grief, or saying this is the way you should do it. This is just coming from David Ferrugio, in my opinion. I think at some point there is a level of accountability, whatever wakes you up to do that, but it's not the time that heals. It's truly what we do at that time in order to quote unquote heal, because we're never fully healed, like you said.
You're right. It's what do we do with our time and how important that is for our life. And I think that's why Amber was saying in the video, her dad always said that to her and I. He always said, what are we going to do with our time? We don't have it forever. And he kept saying, it's just a blip on God's watch. Let's go. Let's go. And he was frustrated. The last 3 or 4 years, he was frustrated with time. He was frustrated. He didn't like, it's funny because in my whole life of being married to this amazing guy, I never felt a difference in age, right? Ever. I always felt much older than JR. I was always the more mature one in our relationship. He was the more silly and kid-like and, very shy but giddyish. And as the years approached, I could tell when he wrote me that letter in 2021 that he was tired of time catching up. And he wrote, we have to do something now. And he underlined now. You know, when you underline something, it almost rips the page. I saved it because it was so impactful on me. And I remember him leaving it by the bed that night, like he would if he thought I was too busy to hand me something directly. And he left it by my bed and he said, we have to do something now. If we don't do something now for each other, what difference does it make without each other? And that's why Amber was right. His whole life, he had time on his mind. And so even at the end, the day before he died, the morning that he died, that morning, I remember, and I say this in the book, he woke up that morning. It was 5 a.m. in Croatia. I remember I wasn't surprised he woke up early because we were on a time difference. We had just gotten there 48 hours before. We just finished 4 straight days of speaking in front of 15,000 people at our 30th convention. We were exhausted, but he was unusually quiet. He was very quiet. He pondered over the water. He looked outside like he had seen his life in front of him in a very strange way. When I go back on it now, I wonder if somebody doesn't, as crazy as it sounds, I would have never thought this way before until now. I wonder if somebody doesn't come down and ask you to do your thing, wrap it up, say what you need to say. He woke up that morning and said, I want to let you know you've made me the happiest person in my life.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think I was going to ask you, and I think you kind of answered it before I even the question. But, I something I wouldn't even consider unless I've had these hundreds of conversations and the experience I just wonder, just ponder. I'm like, is there just an intuition? Is there something? Because I've heard stories over stories of not the same thing as yours, but just like, is there a knowingness?
No doubt.
Maybe he couldn't know it, but it was just like a noticing, a feeling as if maybe something was going to happen, and whether he verbalized it or not. But it's like, I believe that now.
It's 150% what I saw those 48 hours. No question about it. He got some message. I kept saying, are you okay? You're so quiet. You're not eating. He said, I'm okay. He kept being so grateful. When I say so grateful for me finding the boat, so grateful that we're here. He's like, I can't believe you made this happen. He would never do that normally. He would just be like in the moment with me. His knee had stiffened. He had a knee injury. We didn't realize the blood clot was hiding behind the knee. The knee had stiffened, and when it stiffened, it was harder for him to walk. And so that morning, I surprised him and got a bike. And he rode the bike all around the island, and he wrote me this message like, it was the thanking me like for the biggest gift of a lifetime. And he was saying his goodbyes. And it's the weirdest thing, the way he wrote my daughter, the way he wrote me, the way he spoke to me, the way he sent messages to people after. It's almost like you get this message. It's not quite exactly saying it's your time and you're gone tomorrow, but it's almost like something could go wrong. And I want you to say what you need to say. There's no question in my mind that something like that happens now. There was a letter in his draft box that I've not ever shared publicly till the book, which was basically about me going to live my life. And why would he write that and have that in his draft folder? Unless somebody gave you an inkling of something.